What it means to me is that if they create this currency backed by gold, Robert, this will be the largest transfer of wealth between nations we will ever see in the history of money.
Hello, hello, hello. Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad Radio Show, the good news and bad news about money. And today we're talking about real money, not this garbage here, not this fake paper stuff. And for those of you who have paid attention to my program for all these years, you know, I just don't know why people work for this garbage. This is toilet paper. And we have an long-time friend, Kevin DeMeritt. He's a founder of LEAR CAPITAL, one of the largest precious metal firms. And I don't think he understands either. Why do people hang with the toilet paper? I don't know. So our program today is to kind of break people away from the idea that this is money. But anyway, they printed more money, and we never heard about it just recently. They printed so much more of this trash just to prevent the banks, because it was Silvergate and Silverado, those banks were going down. They had to do something. So they basically took T-bills where everybody thinks are safe, and they basically liquefied it. And now they're flooding the system more of this stuff. And the reason I'm on this point here is because I get into a lot of fights with friends and family and people like that, and they want to hang on to this. They want to save this at the same time the Fed and the Treasury are printing trillions. And we're hanging on to it. But I am Japanese. I'm not a white supremacist, which I'm accused of being also. But also, the Japanese are #1 savers in the world. And what do they save? Yen and T-bills, US T-bills. I mean, Japanese maybe get admitted to Harvard and Princeton and Yale, but they don't know jack about money because they save yen. I would never save yen. I wouldn't even use yen as toilet paper. That's how bad it is. But the Japanese proudly save it, and the government prints trillions of it. So again, we don't make any recommendations. It's your choice. Do your own do your research. We don't make any recommendations. We should buy this or buy that or invest in this and that. But I guess it's Kevin DeMeritt. We've been working together for years. It's LEAR CAPITAL. I got famous going because Kevin spent millions promoting me on all the financial networks. I've been going, buy silver, buy silver. And my friends would come up and they'd say, you saying buy silver? I said, yeah, buy it. Did you buy any? No. So anyway, Kevin, we got the word out anyway, but people now thinking about it. And I think when we were telling the world to buy silver, I think silver was $2 or something. And today, yeah. 24 bucks.
Yeah, you know? If the people would have listened to you.
This dollar has come down. And these guys are still saving this toilet paper or yen or pesos or euro. Anyway, welcome to the program, old friend Kevin McDermott.
Yeah, great to be here, Robert.
What do you think of my comment? Would you save the yen?
No, I wouldn't save the US dollar. I wouldn't save the yen. I wouldn't save any paper currency at this point. They've been printing money so fast, it seems to get worse and worse every year. And the dollar's going nowhere but down.
No. And it's getting worse. I mean, just recently, within the last 6 months, when Silverado and Silvergate, where those banks were, when they tried to stop inflation by raising interest rates, the bond markets collapsed. And when the bond markets collapse, so does the stock market collapse. And we have a baby boom generation, my generation, we're in serious trouble. Serious trouble because they're saving paper, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, things I wouldn't touch. I mean, you can do it if you like. I don't have to because I own the physical asset. I own the mines. I own businesses. I'm an entrepreneur. But so many people are being set up, Kevin. Wouldn't you think? Don't you think so? I mean, my generation, not so much yours. Your generation still has time.
Yeah, they are being set up. And really, Robert, I look for tipping points. And the tipping point, when they really started printing up a lot of money, goes all the way back to the year 2000 when Alan Greenspan, after the dot-com bubble, just started printing money like crazy. People don't understand, but we had $5.6 trillion worth of debt in 2000. On balance sheet debt. And now we're at 33 trillion. What happens to real money when that happens? If you go back to 2000, the gold market was trading at $275 an ounce. Silver was about $3.50 an ounce. 2000, silver's $25 an ounce. We've added so much paper money, it's making the value of tangible assets worth much, much more. So That's what people have to get wrapped around in their head. Every time they print more of this paper money, that becomes worth less and the tangible assets become worth more. And
right now, the next hot new thing is that, what's that, AI, artificial intelligence. I did a talk at my friend Ken McElroy's event. Somebody said, what is AI? I said, a college degree. you don't learn anything about money. I mean, that was my poor dad, PhD. And I kept saying PhDs are for poor, helpless, and desperate.
There'll be apps to figure out how to invest, and that's going to tell you how to invest.
And then you go see a financial planner who's only rewarded by selling you paper.
Yeah.
Financial planner will not recommend gold or silver because they got no commission from it. Is that correct?
That's right. I mean, they don't want to recommend that, which is really sad because if we go back to 2000, I always use this example, and some people, agree with the time period, some people don't, but I like using long-term horizons. In 2000, if you would have invested $100,000 in the stock market, forgetting about dividends here for a second, today that'd be worth about $320,000. If you would have invested $80,000 in the stock market and $20,000 in the gold market, that's worth $385,000. You picked up $65,000 extra dollars in your bank account over that time period by investing just 20% in precious metals. Why? Because they print up more and more of the paper money, the fake money, and the tangible assets become worth more and more. I mean, look, you've lived it. You started this a long time ago with your education about real estate and precious metals. Those are tangible assets that have appreciated in value. You would have done very well by owning those and gotten away from that paper dollar.
Right. I'll just say I don't trust anything they can print. I mean, it's that simple. I own oil. I don't own Standard Oil or Exxon. I own the oil in the ground. I don't want anything they can print, but that's me. But that's what Rich Dad stands for. We don't recommend going to college and getting a college degree and then your PhD and then look for a job. I mean, oh my God. Especially today because, I've been listening to records and what's happening with AI. Unemployment's about to go through the roof. Records is calling for tens of thousands of people to be laid off simply because the economy is sliding into a recession, possible depression. And all the manufacturing companies throughout Europe and all that, they don't have jobs. They don't have any work coming in. And China, China didn't save the economy.
Like I said, your education for people is so important, especially now with this AI and how much money is getting printed, that people really should start listening here.
And how many people will lose their jobs in a few more years? I mean, it's going to be massive. It's massive.
Well, I think it's going to be massive. And I'm just looking at our office building here, Robert, and about 25% of the building is completely empty. I just re-signed my lease for the same amount of money in my lease per square foot that I signed 8 years ago. They had to do that because any more people leave this building, the bank won't even refinance their loan going forward. So, right. They're just forced into lower and lower lease rates. But that gives you some sort of an idea. 25% of a building in the middle of Los Angeles is completely empty and they can't fill it up. This money printing is going to continue. And the government has no choice but to print money. There's absolutely no choice but to print money.
That's all they know how to do.
Well, it's not only
they don't know how to make money. They know how to tax.
Right, Robert. It's not only do they not know anything else to do, but I'll give you an example. We'll have a fun game here, right? I'll prove to people you can't stop printing money as the United States or basically any other country. So you and I live on an island, and you're the banker because you're a smart guy, and you have all the money, and that money is 10 shells. So the whole island's money supply is these 10 shells. And I come to you and I said, Robert, I have this incredible entrepreneurial idea. You look at me and you say, that is unbelievable. I will loan you the 10 shells at 10% interest. I take those 10 shells, I spend it to start my business. At the end of the year, I get all 10 shells back and I come and I give them back to you and you put me out of business. Why? Because there isn't an 11th shell to pay you the interest. You as the banker have to print it up out of thin air so that I have the interest to pay you. That is what the government does in banking. They have to print more money. So that piece of paper that you keep holding up is absolutely worthless. It's going to get more and more worthless over time because you can't stop printing money.
Yes, right? But you should save money. Save money.
Yeah. Every dollar they print, that shell just became worth less and less and less.
Yeah,
that's where we're headed that people don't understand.
We're going to pay you 3% interest. Inflation's running at 6%. I mean, Can you do the math? Let's say I'm getting 3% interest, let's say, and it's running at 6% inflation. What's wrong with the math?
Well, I'm happy I'm only going broke slowly. That's the problem with people.
I can't believe how effing stupid people are. I mean, I really mean that.
Yeah.
I mean,
and the CPI index is all messed up, so that doesn't even calculate things like taxes and the real thing.
Yeah, we don't use those words here. CPI is consumer price, inflation, basically.
Yes.
Anyway, tell us a little bit about LEAR Capital, how you found that and all that.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was actually in international banking, so we would establish banks in different jurisdictions for import-exportation companies, large, big companies. And one day somebody says, hey, look, we've got to hedge all these different currencies when we capitalize these banks. Why don't we capitalize some of the banks with precious metals? And they put me in charge at 21 years old to go figure out if gold was a good idea. And after about 9 months of research, I said, not only is it a good idea, but I'm leaving and going and starting a gold company because I think that's where people ought to invest. So I got out of banking, started LEAR, and that's what I've done ever sinse I was 25 years old.
What year was that, Kevin?
Well, I started LEAR in 1997, but in 1990 is when I started a different company with a partner, and then I moved on and moved on with my own company in 97. So it was 1991 when I started in the gold industry.
What was the price of gold and silver in 1991?
It was about $325 an ounce, bounced around $325, $350 an ounce. Came down to a low of $2,000 or $255 in 2000, and then just it's been up ever since. With all
went down to 200 something.
Yeah,
around 1990.
Yep. Yeah.
And what's it at today?
Almost 2,000. 1957. And
then this here is a silver buffalo. It's about an ounce. What was this in 1991? Silver.
1991, silver was about $3.75 an ounce, got down to $2.75 an ounce. That's when Warren Buffett purchased a bunch of, the silver. And then here we are at $25 an ounce. So had a pretty good run.
And I still say to people, I talk to everybody about gold and silver because I don't save dollars. When I have extra money, I buy gold and silver and I keep it in a vault far away from my home. Go back to the story of the on the desert island with the shells. I mean, what happens after that?
Well, look, you're on an island with these 10 shells, and you loan me those 10 shells. You can't. There's only 10 shells, right? That's the money that was on the island, and you lend it to me with 10% interest. I can't pay you back unless you, the banker, prints up another shell for me so that I can get that shell. It's impossible for the government not to print more money each and every year. So if you think that dollar is going to become worth more, you would have to believe that the government's going to stop printing money. They stop printing money, the economy collapses, right?
Right.
Paper money is going to get worth less and less. And I'm going to tell you something. I think the central banks have been listening to your program last year because the central banks last year purchased 25% of all of the gold mined last year. Think about this. They can print money and take that printed money that they printed out of thin air, and they went and bought 25% of the 1,250 metric tons of gold central banks purchased last year. They don't even trust their own money.
No, of course not. And then recently, this is what people do not understand, is when the debt ceiling was at 30 trillion or some ungodly amount of number. A trillion seconds is 32,000 years. Think about that. And they had 30 trillion, now it's 31 trillion, but that's the debt they record. There's also off-balance sheet debt, which is estimated.
The off-balance sheet debt is almost twice as big as the on-balance sheet debt, because if you add it all together, we're at $100 trillion. So if you add the Social Security and pensions and Medicare and Medicaid and all the off-balance sheet liabilities, our debt is much, much bigger. However, as more and more people retire, that debt will start to becoming on-balance sheet debt because they're going to have to borrow the money to pay those people, and then it switches over to the other side of the equation. So it's a scary situation, and how far the dollar could fall if that happens.
And there's one more thing happens. I wrote a book called "Who Stole My Pension," and our pensions are bankrupt, and we're going to do it. My company's doing a whole talk on Thursday with it. I keep my company educated about what's happening in the world. But on August 22nd, 2023 of this year in Johannesburg, South Africa, the BRICS nations are meeting. BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. Kevin, what does that meeting mean to you? The BRICS nation in Johannesburg, South Africa, 22 August 2023.
What it means to me is that if they create this currency backed by gold, Robert, this will be the largest transfer of wealth between nations we will ever see in the history of money.
Right.
And the
BRICS.
and the reason.
Let me say one thing. The BRICS were just 5 nations a while ago. They estimate by the time the meeting comes in, there may be 41 nations.
That's correct. But I'm going to give people an indication right now.
Wait, let me finish.
Oh, sure.
They're so pissed off that the United States ripping us off paying fake money. Even the BRICS nations are pissed off. But Americans? No, we have no idea. But the BRICS are pissed. And so they're going to join up and they're going to say, we're not going to take your piece of toilet paper anymore. What does that mean, Kevin?
Well, 2 things. I want to go back. Those 5 countries, okay, when people don't understand who they are, you said it, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. That's 40% of the population of the world. 3.2 billion people is 40% of the population. Just those 5 countries. You start adding in more countries, where's the tipping point? You get to 50% or 60% of the people, the dollar's gone. But here's what it means to me with the transfer of wealth. Let's forget about the fact that there's a little bit of paper in this BRIC currency and we just use gold. Okay, I came from international banking, which you just asked me about, so I understand trade very well. The United States has almost last year a $960 billion trade deficit. If we were dealing just in gold, we were trading gold back and forth, I would have sent $960 billion extra dollars to a country that sent me toys, clothes, cars, everything that depreciates, and they ended up with almost $1 trillion worth of gold. So what happens to that currency? To have that currency, you need to back it by gold. That means there's going to be some gold demand, which probably pushes up the price of gold. It's backed by gold. It pushes up the value of that currency, and it pushes down the value of the dollar. So my deficit keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I keep throwing more and more gold over to them, and I have less. When it's paper dollars, nobody gets it. But you turn it into gold, or let's say I was trading real estate. Heck, the whole real estate market in the United States is worth $70 trillion. If I give $1 trillion to a different country of our real estate, that's 1.5% of our real estate. In 6 years, I've given 10% of our real estate away. That's what it means.
But
our dollar is killed.
The good news is the Barbie movie's coming out, and they're going to sell a lot more Barbie dolls, from China. Yay.
Which will push up the trade deficit. Yeah, we paid $1 trillion extra for Barbie dolls, and we gave them gold for Barbie dolls. It's crazy. It will be the biggest transfer of wealth in the history of nations if this thing goes through. The dollar, I heard you say it, the dollar gets repatriated back into the United States and inflation goes through the roof because paper means nothing. That gold-backed currency will be where everybody goes, including how we need to purchase that to now have trade with those other countries. We're basically purchasing gold and throwing it back to them.
Well, how much do you think Barbie doll will be worth next year? Anyway, Kevin,
more than $1.
Kevin, that for you and I, that's how ridiculous it is.
Yeah, we
people
trade
rather
Barbie
dolls
than
buy an ounce of it. Probably costs the same amount as the silver here. But I'd rather have this, but they'd have the Barbie doll. I mean, that's how screwed up people are. Anyway, we're running out of time. I want to talk to you about people can say, I don't save cash because I use debt to buy real estate. So I use 100% debt financing. I don't recommend it. That's what I do. But when the cash comes in, I convert it to gold and silver, and it's stored as far away as Switzerland. I don't want anybody near my gold or silver. And I took a gold company public last summer from Utah, and an old silver mine in Argentina. So I'm pretty hardcore in this whole thing. But my question is for the person just starting out, if they have what's called an IRA, individual retirement account, how can you support the person starting out with an IRA?
Yeah, that's a great question. We're authorized to place gold and silver in an IRA through a custodian called Equity Trust. And so you can take a portion of your IRA or start an IRA and move that over to physical gold and silver. That's going to be stored at Delaware Depository. That's one of the largest depositories in the country. We've worked with them for over 15 years. And so now you have physical gold and silver. And if you ever want to take physical possession of that gold and silver through this specific IRA, you're able to do that. A lot of gold and silver IRAs, you're not able to do that. You have to sell it and take the cash and then go rebuy the precious metals. This custodian will actually deliver the physical metals to you. So that's why we work with them.
Okay. And then does a person have to be a U.S. citizen to have an IRA in America?
Yes, they do, unfortunately.
Well, the reason I asked that question is we have so many people that listen to the Rich Dad radio show outside this country. So again, we don't make, this is Rich Dad, we don't make recommendations. I tell you what I do. I don't say you should do it. Like most people should have a 401k, or in Canada, it's called an RRSP. In Japan, it's called a 401k. They copy everything we do like idiots. But anyway, you know what I mean? If you're going to, I recommend, but you got to check it out for yourself. I don't save cash. I save gold and silver, tangible, real. I don't have any paper gold or silver. I have no ETF. You can buy a silver ETF. It's under SLV, and gold ETF is GLV. That's paper gold and paper silver. Do you have any comments, Kevin? We're closing right now, about persons saving gold, paper, GLD, or SLV ETFs?
Yeah, that would be like someone giving us a phone call, and I said, "Hey, look, I'll sell you the gold, and then I'm going to deliver 80% of it over to HSBC Bank in Hong Kong or over in Great Britain. That's where it's going to be held, but it's not 100% in gold. Would you do it?" Most people would say no. Okay, well then why are you doing GLD or SLV? You're not getting 100% backing of gold, and it's held somewhere else that you could never get a hold of it. I don't think anybody would really want to do that if they thought about it long enough.
Yeah. And again, we don't make recommendations, but what does the word hypothecation mean to you?
Hypothecation?
Okay. I see, you understand why Kevin's laughing. I'll say it because I don't want to get him in trouble. I don't have a license. He has a license. Hypothecation means you buy this thing in a piece of paper, and they'll sell it 10 different times. They'll just keep selling the same piece of crap, silver, paper, 10, 20, 30 times. So what happens if a person wants their money back at the same time, which is what might happen with the BRICS nation August 22nd this year, there won't be any gold or silver there. That's the possibility. I don't want Kevin to say it because he'd get in trouble.
It's a futures and options market. That's
right. They're selling gold and silver they don't have. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank Kevin DeMeritt, LEAR Capital. How can they contact you, Kevin, to find out about your IRA plan or any plan?
If they give us a call, 1-800-511-1960. It's 800-511-1960. Give us a phone call. We got a free special report on silver, another canceled report about the dollar. And for your listeners only, I want to do something special, Robert. We're going to include a credit in their account of $250, which will cover their IRA cost or shipping cost on the metal. So we're going to do that free of charge. 800-511-1960. And I really appreciate you and all the education.
Hey, Kevin, it's been really a gas all these years. But when you and I started out, we were the lone wolves in the wilderness.
Everybody hated us.
Yeah, I know. Oh, you say buy silver. I go, yeah, it's only $3. Oh, yeah. And they wish they bought some now. Anyway, my friend, thank you. Good luck to you. LEAR Capital. Number one more time.
1-800-511-1960.
Please call them. Just check it out. Doesn't cost anything. Just talk it over. Find out if it works for you. So thank you all very much. And we come back. Final words from Rich Dad Radio. So we will wrap up here. Kevin, thanks a lot. Good luck to you.
Thanks for having me, Robert.